Good evening, super friends, and welcome to the Wednesday, July 29th edition of the Sacred News and Weather. I am delighted to have you here, and I'm very grateful to have you here. Full disclosure, I recorded a complete message earlier this afternoon, and I recognized that I think, and I'm going to blame the Aquarian full moon, that it was really meandering, and it took me a really long time to get to where Spirit was trying to direct me. It was like, I was like, come on, show me where we're going. And I don't want to do that to you. I was like, when I was finished, I was like, I don't think if I were me that I'd want to listen to that message, or if I were you, you'd want to listen to that, because I feel like the juice and the meat came at the very end. So this is going to be my second attempt at delivering this message to you. And it started with some very clear imagery, actually. And I actually ended up doing some energy work in that last reading, which I don't think I'm going to do tonight because it's already done. And so I'm going to give you the images that I was shown, and I'm going to tell you what came through, and I'm going to see what else wants to come through around the energy work that I did and what was done. And so without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and give you my preamble, which is, as with everything I do, please take what resonates and leave the rest behind. Know that these messages are timeless, so whether you are tuning in real time on Wednesday, July 29th, or at a later date, know if you're tuning in, there probably will be something here for you. But if you're not finding yourself, go ahead and turn me off. Scroll down below. There are so many more messages there, and there will be many more to come. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close my eyes. And I'm going to give you the image that came through for the earlier reading, and then we are going to go from there. So the image that came through with the first reading was a very clear image of a human sort of outline, like an amorphous human outline. And in that outline, I could see all of like the nervous system lit up, almost as if it was an anatomical drawing of a human nervous system. And like if you were going to go through an anatomy book, and there was a picture of all of the nerves and nerve endings, so there was the spinal cord and all of the nerves and the nerve endings coming out at the cauda equina, which is at the sort of tail that hangs off of the sacrum, and all of the nerve bundles that move through your hands and your fingertips and your arms. So I think you get the picture. So I saw an image like that, and I could tell that I was meant to work on the nervous system of our collective, in that I was supposed to remove old wiring. And the image that I got was this bundle of wires at the root of this amorphous representative of our collective energy. Or I keep saying amorphous, but it's not. It was very clearly the outline of a human, but it was amorphous in that it was, the boundaries were a little wishy-washy. But I could see that I was meant to really pull out this expired nervous system, like these expired nerves, almost as if I was pulling out a bundle of old cables and wires that you might find in a box in your garage that you were saving for another time. Or like if you were to open up the wall of an old Victorian house, and you would see like all of the old electrical wires, all of the old telephone wires, all of the old like knob and tube, everything that you would see behind the wall. It was like that. There was this bundle of cables and cords, and I was shown to just pull it out from the root of our collective energy. And in doing so, I was going to be removing old storylines that were keeping you bound to old stories in your system, like keeping you bound to places that you were meant to let go of. So I essentially did energy work on the whole collective by removing this whole root bundle from us. And what I could see as I was removing it, and it took a little while, which was why that message was so long and why I didn't want to keep it for you. It took a while because as I was removing it, as I was pulling it out, I could see all of the little sizzle points, the zzz, 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 like all of the ways that these old stories, and because I was pulling them from the root, I could feel like they were old ancestral wounds, they were old family stories, they were old, like old beliefs that were really never yours to begin with, that your system had deep buy-in into. And as I was removing it, I could see all of like the electrical impulses that it was like that were wreaking havoc on your body. So I went ahead and removed that. And by the way, when I do collective energy work, I am not touching your personal energetic system. I don't have permission to do that, but I was working on the whole field of the collective. So you, I hope, will feel some goodness from that. And what I was shown to tell you there is that if you want to continue this path further, if you want to remove these old storylines, you can visualize exactly what I did, but in your own body, and imagine like pulling out from your root all of these old pathways that really aren't serving the highest unfolding of who you are meant to be in this very moment. So I did that, and then the next image that came is the image of a sphinx. And I sat with this for way too long, and I was like, what is happening with the Sphinx? And I couldn't get there. And what was happening with the Sphinx is, and if you remember the traditional story of the Sphinx is a riddler. The Sphinx offers you a riddle, and if you don't solve the riddle correctly, you die. And I was like, oh, that is not a message that I want to give to my listeners, that if you don't solve the riddle, you're going to die. So what is this? And it took me a little while to figure out that what the Sphinx was trying to tell me, to tell you, is that the Sphinx wants the truth. The Sphinx wants the right answer. But when your nervous system is firing and misfiring and believing in old storylines, or not necessarily even old storylines, but like in pain, like believing that you are actually your pain and your fear. So not that the fear is a part of you that's driving the bus, not that the pain is a part of you that's driving the bus, but that you are the pain or you are the fear. It makes us feel in our nervous systems like we are actually going to die. Like it is this feeling of, I am in so much pain, I am in so much fear that I am going to die. And if you tried to answer the Sphinx about the truth of who you are, it's like the Sphinx, the riddle was like, who are you? And if you gave the wrong answer, you were going to die. And you were going to give the wrong answer because this whole nerve bundle was actually ruling your nervous system. It was ruling the roost, and it was like vocalizing from your mouth. It was vocalizing this untruth about who you are, because it was vocalizing your wounding and your fear and your pain and your old storylines. And so I'm hoping that I have already like removed some of that from you, but I also invite you to remove it further. And I invite you to know that where we actually want to be answering questions from, where we want to be like riddling me, this is not from the old wounding, but from the heart, from the truth of who we are. And part of what came through earlier that I'm going to try and bring forward today more succinctly is that the heart to ferret is the truth, and your right shoulder here is Gevura, which is the warrior, and your left shoulder is Gevura, which is the warrior, which is discernment, and your left, I'm all backwards because I'm seeing, but I'm feeling into my own body. Your right shoulder is Hesed, which is compassion, and your left shoulder is discernment. And we want our heart to be connected to compassion and discernment so that we can communicate here at our throat, so we can tell the Sphinx, so that we can speak our truth, which is not the truth from our wounding, but the truth from our soul. And what I could see, and this came through in the red thread as well, is that some of us in this collective are not connected to heart, but we are in fact connected into our ego, like our wounded ego and our pain body and our wounded root with our old familial stories. And what I was shown to do was to really try and reconnect all of us from root up to heart and to our throat, which is, so if we have Gevurah and Hesed on the tree of life, where it arrives in us is in our throat. It's our throat chakra, and it is how we speak our truth to the world. And so the Sphinx was trying to tell us that we were not going to be able to speak our truth. We were going to only be able to speak in judgment or in fear or in pain, and that I needed to help us reconnect to our heart, and that by doing so, if I were able to reconnect you to your heart, you would go from judgment to discernment, which is much gentler because it is connected to compassion and the heart, and from there you could actually speak a truth. So there's a feeling here in our collective that someone is having difficulty speaking the truth, speaking their full truth, because they are connected to their pain body. And so if this is you, if you are seeing yourself here and you feel like you need to really reconnect to your heart and to the truth, you are being invited to, again, continue with that imagery, to sit with the imagery of pulling that old wiring out of your body and imagining the connectivity from your root to your sacral chakra, to your solar plexus, to your heart, and to your throat, and then of course to your third eye and to your crown. The way we speak our truth, we want ourselves hooked up to our hearts. We want to be hooked up fully to our divinity, and we want to be connected to our root and to Mama Earth below our root. And so we want this whole passage to be open. And if you are having difficulty finding words, if you are having difficulty finding your truth, if you are judging yourself or if you are judging another, then this is the way to do it, to visualize flow and connectivity from root to crown, to visualize opening your crown and allowing the light of spirit to come through, to visualize, sorry, my dog is like, I don't know, passing a hairball right now. I don't know if you can hear it. To visualize opening your root and allowing Mama Earth to flow all the way up and out, and allowing that to become your whole toroidal field, your whole energetic field, and to keep focusing on pulling anything that isn't of or for your truth, for your highest unfolding, anything that isn't heart-centered, to be removed as you imagine that root bundle leaving you, that old wiring leaving you. I want to give you a visual image on the actual tree of life before I let you go. I want to show you what I'm talking about here. I know that there's a glare. It's from my ring light. And I'm sorry about that. It's just the hour of the day and the lighting here. Let me see if I can get it in here. So what I am talking about is really here. This is discernment. And when it's out of balance, when it's not connected to your heart and to compassion, you can see this triangle here. I've talked about this in here before, not often. I don't bring this here often, but this is your chalice of the soul. This is your chalice of your soul's truth. And we want all of this hooked up here so that when the Sphinx asks you to riddle me this, you are able to speak your soul's truth. What I was saying when we are not connected is that our discernment here is connected to communication, which is connected to our ego and connected to our root. And when we're not connected to our heart, we're often in our wounded ego, and we are in our like tribal familial wounding. And so we are trying to communicate. We're trying to communicate and we're trying to discern from a very wounded place. And so today, we're being invited to really make sure that when we are trying to speak our truth, and we speak our truth here, connected to here, but we discern what our truth is here, connected to our hearts and our compassion. And we want everything hooked up and flowing. We want to be flowing from root to crown and crown to root, with everything connected here at the heart, in order to be able to find our truth and speak it, and not have the truth that we're trying to speak come from our wounded ego or our old familial wounds. Is there anything else that I want to tell you about this here? This is the tree of life. This is the Kabbalah. This is the Judaic tree of life. These are also your chakras. So this is your Malchut is the root. Yesod is your sacral chakra. Hod and Netzach are your solar plexus. Tiferet is your heart. Gevurah and Hesed are your throat. Da'at, which we whisper in Kabbalah, but I'm not whispering here, as connected to Bina and Chokmah, are your third eye, and Keter is your crown. These are also the sacraments, if you want to look at it this way. This is baptism, this is confirmation, this is marriage, this is confession, this is ordination, and this is extreme unction, or the anointing of the sick. So it's all overlaid here. And today I'm really speaking to connecting all of these parts so that you can speak your truth out into the world. When we are down here, we are sort of in our wounding, this is called the vegetable wheel or the vegetal wheel, because we're like completely disconnected. We are so in our body that we're completely disconnected from our heart or our divinity. We can come in here and we can come into our animal wheel, which is like where we get really like willful. And when we connect to our heart and above and have everything flowing, we come into aligned free will. And that is the goal here. And that's the place that we want to speak our truth from. And I feel like that's what was really, that's my alarm to do my evening chanting. In case you're wondering what that was, I don't usually come in this late, so that's what that was. But anyway, I think you get a clear enough picture for this evening. So a little something different today, but I tried to do too much in one message, and I think this is probably the best way to bring it through tonight and get that message of speaking your truth from your soul and not from your wounding. I'm going to invite you to please hit the like button, please, and share and hype and subscribe and tell your friends, and I will see you here tomorrow. Good night.